sounds very contemporary, but I'm not. And I'm studying to be a contemporary performance artist, and I create social and political performance around Scotland, and my main performance making is around race, ethnicity, and disability. And I also work for the Scottish Asian magazine. I'm their arts and culture editor and their Agni RPG, which is very fun. And the way I got involved with this was just through Facebook, and I think that's one about Generation Y, where why, as we had the social media to help. So I'm really happy to come all this way and be part of this. So I'm really excited to work with these guys today and share this panel. So that's me, I'm Sanjay from Scotland. I'm going to start over here in the vocal, right? So if you just kind of tell us who you are and what you do. I'm also going to ask you a really personal little chance that I thought, what year were you born? And then we'll see what generation we're in.
Okay. Hi, I'm Shruti Chauhan. I'm a poet and performer from Leicester. And I was born in 1988.
Hi, I'm Keisha Thompson. I'm a writer, performer, producer from Manchester and based in Manchester. And I'm 89 victim.
I'm the eldest. So. Wait, how old are you?
Oh, and 1993.
Man.
I had to think about that. I had to think about that.
I'm Hamid Sharif, born in 1996. I am the babyface here. I'm an American Physics and History student at University of Nottingham. I'm been chosen town for no real reason other than the fact that I'm right. Now, but honestly, like nothing towards, but I'm pretty working with Dan Walker and a lot of references. I'm a bit trying to follow across the country for journalism at the moment. That's quite exciting, and we just put stuff around that and do online with t-shirts.
Good. So I'm just going to quickly give a rundown on what the panel is about, in case you were all like, oh, what is this? And I've got a programme, which Alan said. So the young writers of today, i.e. Generation Y and Z, have the worst publicity surrounding them. However, they are said to be, by researchers, to be multitaskers, liberal, and have a strong sense of community. We, the panel, will discuss how Generation Y's writing is not only different from Generation X's, but also is changing the landscape of writing as we know it. So where Gen X were born 1960s to 1980s, could focus on the written printed form, Gen Y, born 1980 to 2000, are writing through an ever-changing industry. So my first question to you all is, do you think there is a stark difference between 1960s to 80s people to you today, and do you still feel the effects of writing back then and the work that you do? And popcorn style you can do it.
I'll jump in. So I think, yeah, obviously there's a difference. And I was doing a bit of research today, and I read an article that was quite interesting, and it had some points that seemed quite positive, but I actually don't think that they're that positive in terms of being a writer. So one of the things was apparently Generation Y, and then this will impact Generation Z even more so. We write with a sense of audience quite immediately, so we write knowing that we're going to show it to someone else who's going to read it, and blah blah blah. And I actually don't think that's a good thing. So I think in that regard, our generation is called like the me generation, and we have this kind of centre of the universe ideal where whatever we write should be valued and should be shared and everyone should like it and blah blah blah. And I think that's definitely different from Generation X. I think they have a bit more meditation about their writing.
Just to add to that, I think that our generation is more at risk of becoming a bit of a homogenized identity, because when you think about social media, globalization, all these things, so we're increasingly looking for things that we like, and we see that and we're like, okay, I want to emulate that, I want to be like that, and then you kind of got pockets of artists growing up that are quite similar to each other, and that's because we're seeing all of this stuff online, which is a great thing, social media. But I think back then, when there was less of that, I don't So back then, people wouldn't be hyper aware of what's going on around them. They're just creating, just on their own little less interaction or knowledge of what's going on around them. I wonder whether that's different.
I think Generation Y, I've got Generation Y, but to me, I think I agree with Keisha. There is a strong element of narcissism in our work, where it is a lot of me, I, chasing for Facebook likes and Instagram posts and stuff like that. But at the same time, that shouldn't heighten the fact that this generation is full of a lot of talented young writers, and so I'm trying to find them out there. But yeah, there's a lot full of people with narcissism, but there's also very amazing young folks out there that are inspired by Generation X, and I think the change is very subtle in that sense. That Generation Y do bounce Generation X, but Generation Y has a problem is that it can feel like we have almost too many writers. Everyone wants to become a writer. If you ask Generation X, but when they were younger, do they like writing? Most of them would have said no, because writing would have involved privacy, intimacy, writing by yourself. Nowadays, you ask Generation Y, did they like writing? The answer is yeah, because tweeting, Facebook posts, just like the other. So they're dealing with two different generations on how they write, what they write.
So would you agree that Generation Y are given a fairer chance than Generation X? And when it comes to art, do you think we are actually given the chances that back then would have been easy to get, or do you think we've got more barriers nowadays where people can't be more PC, people with trolling online? Do you think we have it easier and fairer when it comes to the arts industry as Generation Y and today's world?
I think it's very geographical. I studied at the University of Nottingham. Art is nowhere near as big as it is in Manchester or London. Simple as it. It's very geographical. It's also a lot to do with economics and class. So I say Manchester and generalising it, but if you go to the long side, you can almost feel like there's a lack of art, and I tend to feel like that's a lot to do with culturalisation, lack of economics, and you go to some parts of Manchester, like the university is full of diversity, rich, vibrant sort of art. So I think a lot of that has to do with geographical, whether we have more opportunities or not. But Generation Y do have one advantage, and I think they're milking it a lot because of Generation X, and that is the lack of censorship. Nowadays you can say a lot more than you could before. You can have Dmitry Shostakovich from Russia, you have from the Soviet Union, you've got Salman Rushdie from Iraq, you've got poets like Allen Ginsberg from America, from all corners of the world. They'll be censored like mad. Nowadays that's happening, but nowhere near as much.
And yes, and yeah, there's now, because we're promoting ourselves, we are making ourselves known. Less of our fate is in the hands of gatekeepers, elitists often, that they were. We can make our own fate. We can make progress ourselves. We don't need someone else to do it for us necessarily.
I think the question is making my head go like that because I'm just thinking of loads of different things. I think the first question that I had with that question was what platform. Like, I think art takes place whatever. It doesn't matter if it gets published or if people see it, you can create art. So I think again it's that. I think we're definitely talking within within the parameters of Generation Y right now, because it's like, when is your art valid? I think for a lot of Generation Y artists, it's not valid until it's got a few likes on Facebook. Or, do you get what I mean? Like, I think back in Generation X's day, and I'm going to start saying millennials now because I'm getting a bit tired of this. I think with Generation X, you would make work and you would just put an exhibition on. I think people are a bit more makeshift about it. Like, you would just do stuff. I speak to young, like older artists, and I'm just amazed by the stuff that they did. They just took over buildings and they just made stuff happen. And I feel like now, for my generation, I think sometimes we can be a bit complacent, and I think it is an actual result of things being too easy for us. So I agree in that people like Allen Ginsberg and Salman Rushdie were censored more, but I think it actually made their work more necessary and then made it just a bit grittier. Whereas, I don't know, I find our generation a bit bland sometimes. And I'm not saying that as like there's no one being controversial. Obviously, there's always someone being controversial, but I just feel like the stuff that goes viral, for example, sometimes I read it and I'm like, right, that's interesting. People were saying stuff like that 40 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And like, I remember, this is a bit tangential, but it felt, it made like sense to me as a metaphor. Justin Bieber, what did he do? He smoked a spliff, he weed in a bin, and I was like, oh, he's such a rebel! Oh no, what are the kids gonna do? And I was just like, what? I was like, the generation before, that was like the sexual revolution, all this political angst, like they were tearing down walls and sniffing cocaine and doing all kinds of bad shit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, like what? Like someone weeding a bin? That's really not. That's not pushing any boundaries. So I feel like we're a bit blander, but a bit louder about it. Yeah.
I like that word, bland but loud. Now, you touched upon social media, so I'm now going to take you on to social media. So our generation, we are the ones that have Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, we had Bebo. Did anybody else have Bebo?
I did. And high five. High five as well. That was like very briefly just a thing.
Bebo.
No, it was Bebo and then high five.
Oh, okay. I was at Bebo. That was my first one. You're talking to someone who got his first phone at 17. So, do you think because Generation X would have had just got emails at the end of the 80s? I think I'm going to get that's true. Do you think social media is good or bad? And do you think that our generation is a bit too dependent on social media when it comes to us as artists and performers these days? Because if you look at Facebook, I don't know, every day, almost every week, do you always get those things like my page, tweet this, share this? Do you think our generation is becoming too dependent? And you touched on that, we feel a bit bland. Do you think that's making us bland by becoming too dependent on a page? Because in the last session, it was really interesting that we spoke about poet Sienna Bangura, who literally was on Twitter every day, and her book is amazing, she got it out there. But do you think some people are just using that just to get their name out and not actually do anything about it? And just, do you think we need to do more? There's a lot of questions in there, so let me just go back.
Yeah.
Is social media good or bad? And the second one, are we too dependent on it?
Right, I'm just going to end that in one sentence. Can you actually tweet the revolution?
Oh,
I
I wouldn't disagree there. I wouldn't disagree there. The Arab Spring, you know, you've got all the stuff with Ferguson, for example. The media outlets were tweeting it.
What's changed from it?
Well, it's like we know about it. The media wasn't talking about it. We were being censored.
We know about it, but nothing's still been happening, so who's actually done from top to bottom?
I'd say stuff's definitely been happening. People have been marching on the street. It definitely helps to galvanise.
Telling somebody and making awareness is do you know what, I used to be very like, oh yes, brilliant, tweet it. Don't run, it's good, but you can't just like tweet it, you can't just tweet revolution, it doesn't make any sense. Some people say that's good and that's bad, that doesn't mean anything. Like when terrorists are very bad, I'm a Muslim, I say, condemn it, right, condemn it, done. That's it, that's all that happens, I've just said that's bad. That's really easy. Going out and, but raising awareness is one thing, but that's just like such a small step, it's actually commonplace now. We should take it to our next level. We really need to take it to our next level.
Other things should be done. Completely agree with you there, but I think we shouldn't disregard social media just because.
Not disregard it, but at the same time, it's a small step, and we need to do a lot more with that social media. At the moment, tweeting, that's it.
I'm going to challenge you just because I think once again we've fallen into that millennial thing. If we don't see it, then it's not happening. And I think that's what makes me uncomfortable about our type of altruism at the moment. So people do good things all the time. When I was little, my mum found a £20 note on the floor, she went and handed it into the post office. I was like, what are you doing? She'd keep that. But she was like, no, it's not ours, let's hand it in, blah, blah, blah. No one knows that, and no one needs to know that. But now, if you do something good, you're like, oh, let me just tell everyone I just did this good thing. And then I was like, oh my God, you did a great thing, and that was amazing. And if someone doesn't post that they did a great thing, then you assume that they didn't. So I think sometimes we project, and I think we feel guilty when we like something on social media. Like, oh yeah, I've just read about this revolution, that's amazing. Like, what else am I going to do? And that's fine, and I think it's very good that you question that. But don't assume that there are other people not doing things.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think social media does an amazing job in terms of raising awareness and galvanising people, and it does galvanise people. People get on the streets and they meet and they do things and they create collectives and they're active. They really are. It's just that you can't see it, and I'm actually glad about that. I don't want to see it all the time.
I don't think we have to have a choice. Like that's the direction in which the world is going, and you evolve or you die. You have to. That's where people are going to. The news, communication, everything. And you could say, well, I'm not going to use social media and go sit in that corner and write, but good chances are you're not going to be known, and that is. We want our work to be known, and I think we have no choice but to go with it.
Social media is good, but come back to the question, are we too dependent on social media? Yeah.
Who's the we? Who's the we?
Generation Y.
I feel like you're sucking me into your we, and I don't know.
I think, right, in general, not every everyone, but in general, I think people are over dependent on social media. Yeah, it's good, I use it, I do. I'm not going to lie, share those every day, but like, it's too dependent, I think.
I think it's interesting, we were just having a conversation today about rights in my time and rights in your time. And what the big difference that to my opinion is, in our time we had more patience because we had to go and find things in the library, in the journals, whereas in your time it's so quick. Yeah, and that's where dilution comes in, where you say it's bland, because you've got information on the tip of your hand. But that shouldn't be so bad, yeah? We raise awareness so quickly. The point is, what do we do about it? Yeah, and that's where we need to raise good writers, good politicians, good people. So they take that forward, they use that medium to make a difference in the world. Yeah, so it's not about being good or bad, it's what do we do about it? This is what we evolved into now. We can't just stop evolving and say, oh no, it doesn't do any good, I'm not going to be part of it. We should be part of it, but we should evolve it further where we're actually causing the revolution, where we're actually going forward.
That's right. You do need to, like I said, you do need to move social media forward. We need to, we need to evolve it. At the moment, the most liked political page on Facebook in Britain is Britain First. Like, absolutely shocked. That is not an example of using social media well.
So emphasis should be, yes, it's very good, it's made a positive difference. What do we do about it? How do we take it further?
Yeah.
That's where we should be.
But I just want to add that I think social media is always a reflection of society itself, and we can't blame social media. So what you just said then about Britain First, that's a reflection of where we are and what we're living in right now. It's not social media's fault.
It's just a medium, just like a TV. It's there, what you watch, what you're shown is what's happening around you.
Yeah.
We can't blame the TV.
Yeah, exactly. It's the way they use it, and I'm going to say something a bit controversial. Probably not that controversial, but I think if we take it back in terms of writing, I get annoyed on social media and I get turned off because I'm one of those people that I hate bad grammar. And I feel like social media has made, I'm talking from a writing perspective now, I've seen so many young people not care about like punctuation and the skill and the craft of rhetoric and forming their words really carefully. They're just very flippant, very disposable, just pushing things out really quickly, and that annoys me about social media. And I think that affects writing. I'm very happy for people to experiment with writing, but I think you should understand the language that you play with before you play with it. And I think social media makes people not analyse language on that level. It's just a kind of, it's something to consume and not to.
Can I just put? Do you not think social media language is different though to general language?
I think it's different. No, I agree. Like in terms of like mobile language, mobile like text messaging and using acronyms, I do all of that. That's fine. Like, I do my LOLs and all that shit. That's cool. But when I see 3 sentences, no capital letters, or capital letters where they don't need to be, oh my god, that really pisses me off. No full stops, loads of exclamation mark. It literally drives me insane. Like, I can't handle it. And I also feel like the person sometimes, not all the time, the person who's writing it doesn't know why they're doing it. So there's no skill in it. Like I personally don't see a lot of skill, in writing skill.
I don't because what we're reading, because that's what we pick up.
But just I don't know if we're being clear. I feel like with punctuation, it's supposed to help language be clear. It's supposed to help you to show you how to read it. It's to guide you. Like commas are supposed to pause, question marks just to keep this question. And I feel like we've eroded those things. And we can be creative with it, that's fine, but I just feel like the rules have just been thrown out the window. It's not like they've changed, the rules haven't changed. Like, I see people at the moment using like commas instead of full stops to make an ellipses, and I'm like, why are you doing that? What does that mean? It just frustrates me because I just want to know what it means.
I really like that though. I like people warping language because I think it's pushing it to its limits. So what happens when you do put a comma in? It changes the sentence. Maybe you're not aware of how much it changes the sentence, but you know, it's kind of, I don't know, I use commas when I need to breathe, which sometimes is quite a lot, and sometimes not, not often in a sentence. So I guess it's to each their own. I think language is such a, though we have our rules, it's such a changeable.
I just want it to be clear, but I know I'm being pushed. I'm a bit of a, in terms of grammar, I'm one of those people.
I would agree. Like, if we look at social media as a mirror almost of society, the holding up to society, and all of these different ways in which youngsters, or not just youngsters, are writing, it's indicative of a culture, of a subculture, and years from now, people will be able to study this kind of language, and this is how youngsters are writing, this is the time, this is what the time was like. And I think it's a beautiful thing how language evolves, but I know what you're saying, I have grammar pet peeves too,
I'm keeping to myself now.
I think one thing also is, like, this was an interesting point brought up when I was I had a school visit and return about my course, and it was interesting when someone says that in about 2025, students, they'll still be learning about World War I and that, but the history lessons will then more go on to like the war on Iraq, and time's moving on as well. And I think that's one thing about social media, that you give it 30, 40 years, World War I and II, which is sad to say, the teacher did say, won't be a prominent history to teach kids. It'll be more like what's happening in Syria, Iraq, Palestine. And that made me question, is like, so then what is history? And now I'm going to ask you another question around a question that you mentioned. We are a bit bland. I think we're bland in Scotland. Like we're just really. And I think there's only 4% BAME in the whole of Scotland. Now you can tell why I like being here. We are very dependent on social media at times. And just to hear from you guys, what do you think we can do as a generation to influence the next generation in a positive way to make us seem less bland? What do you think we can do to kind of influence the next generation? Is anybody here in Generation Z, born like 2001? No?
I would say that we're bland.
I don't think we're up.
Yeah, I said it was a general thing.
Oh,
no, go on. Yeah, just.
When
I
say bland, like, can I explain what I mean by that?
We talk about the dilution.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we're not as clear at times. I'm also just talking from like where I come from. I'm in the same country as you. I just feel like we're not out there as much. Then again, I think it could be different with you guys here, because I don't really know the English perspective of the art scene. So it's kind of different, but we'll go back.
When you say we're not out there, who's doing?
I don't feel young people are being given a chance to get out there and talk, and I think it's really hard for us. And I think that's how we've become so dependent on social media, is because that's our way of talking. But do you think there's other ways we can talk to get out there and leave the social media?
I don't think we need to do that. I don't think we need to be afraid of social media. I think it would be weird to do that.
But I think obviously you can't beat human touch, human interaction, right, face to face. But it's social media is not to be replaced, or none of them. They can both coexist.
Yeah, we've got print, we've got social media.
Because the kind of magic that happens when artists collaborate face to face, you've got music, you've got a guitar, you've got a poet, a rapper, and the kind of magic that happens there, it doesn't happen on social media. And so that's got to continue in the same way, social media.
Cool, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Cool. So
I think the answer to your question is books. Like, I mean, what is the way we communicate down through generations? I mean, if I want to know about 19th century Russia, I read Dostoevsky. If I want to know about what life was like in Ireland around 1920, I read James Joyce. Books is like the best way to communicate down through generations. I think we're worried so much about how we make social media respond to us as writers, whereas why don't we just follow the long and tried method of writing books? Books are the way to communicate. No one's gonna look at my tweets or my Facebook posts in 50 years time. see.
Studying history, I definitely read books a lot better. And I like looking at a few trees.
Like we're so worried, you know, I think a lot of the talk in the earlier one as well, and now it's about how we have this thing, we have this tool, which can be fantastic, but we're so worried about how we use that, how we make it bend to us. Whereas like why are books not a distraction from that? Why can't, like, for me, I read a book at the end of the day to get away from social media, to get the buzz out of my head, and I, like, you know, relax for a story. So. I don't know if there's a question in there.
No,
Yeah,
I agree with that. Like, the talk before this, at least we're talking about Kindles and e-readers, and yeah, I came from Glasgow last night and my aunt said, why have you got such a big bag in a suitcase? I'm like, I need a book. She's like, oh, why? And she waved her wee phone at me, and like, but it's not the same thing. You don't get that same connection, the feeling, and it's the same with a play, a book, a poem. I always carry a play with me or some sort of like theory book. Quite sad, I know, but hey. And I think it's what you said, it's the real touch of something that gives you a connection. And I'm not even just a physical touch, but like a vocal touch of someone. If they're performing poetry or a play, like if I'm in the theatre and there's a scene going on in like Shakespeare, it's that connects me. And I think that's what we're kind of losing with our generation, because we are so technology modern at times. But I think we are going to be moving on. And I think we are the generation that's in the middle of X and Z. And it's us that are going to like shape the yellow brick road for the next generation.
And just going back, and what this lady said about patience as well, I think I was thinking that earlier as well, that like, you know, we need to have a bit of patience. Like, if stuff isn't coming off for you immediately, if you're getting rejected, you know, 5, 6, 10 times on something, it's okay, you know, like, I mean, everyone has to deal with this down to generations, and we don't have to just post it online straight away just because you're not getting accepted. I mean, like Marilyn James, I think I read that he had like 72 rejections or something. Eva McBride, an Irish novelist, she got rejected for 10 years, like, with her first novel, and she kept plugging away. And I'm not saying we all could, like, you know, want to wait around 10 years, but it's okay to have a bit of patience too, and just like, you know, this is longevity we're talking about. You know, you want people to reach you in 50, 60 years, not just like how many tweets can I send out today. You know? And it's two different things. I think, you know, social media is good for news and keeping in touch and current affairs and stuff, but I don't think it's necessarily a means we should use for writing just yet.
I've got a comment that kind of leads from that, but then I have an entirely different question as well, if that's alright. So my comment was, my job really is working with young writers, and we probably work with hundreds of young writers in the North East, and I think for some of them, you do have young people who, I remember I said to one of them, I know what you guys are like you'll put a picture on Instagram, and if you don't get 20 likes in the first 20 minutes, you'll take it down. And one of them looked at me and was like, 20 likes in the first 20 minutes? Like, if there are no likes in the first 5 minutes, I'd take it down. And I was like, oh, I don't know how people on Instagram that quickly. So that was one thing, and I think we do have loads of young people who are kind of focused in that way, but then at the same time, I work with young writers who are terrified of social media, and they're like little 15-year-olds who are writing amazing work, and are so happy to come along to our writers group on Saturday mornings and sit there with their notebook and their pen and share it verbally with their friends and get feedback, and you'll never see that work online because that's not what they write for. And I think sometimes we find it quite easy to forget about the young writers who are treading the same path as all the writers that came before them, and who are still sitting there with their notebook and their pen and reading out to their mates and getting feedback in that way. And I think actually when we talk about millennials, we kind of forget about the ones who don't subscribe to this online culture that is so kind of prevalent right now. So that was my kind of link to that. But then my question was, obviously in my job I work with lots of young writers, and we do young writers groups and we do young writers awards, but there's a real difference between young writers awards and the awards that go to all writers. And my question, I think, is how do you feel about, or do you think it's important to kind of separate young writers away from other writers, and how do you feel like that means young people's work is valued in a kind of wider landscape of writing today?
When they're separated, what are usually the age brackets for?
Sorry?
When they're sort of separated, do you know what age brackets?
Oh, they're often very different. Different young writers awards are for different ages. There'll be some that's for like 12 to 19, but then there'll be some that's kind of 15 and under. So it's very it depends on the award really, and the age groups are very different for those.
some respects that you can't put a 10-year-old up against a 25-year-old in terms of writing. And I think competition is healthy because it, it just forces you to work harder. But yeah, for me it makes sense. But I think I need to think about that.
I suppose the question is, how do we make sure that young people's writing today is valued alongside kind of the wider landscape of writing?
Can I just add to that? Is that what I'm finding is that you get a lot of the older generations are finding it difficult to give their spots up. So stuff like the Young Writers Awards are important because what you're doing is you're allowing the young writers to actually do something. The old generation has spent quite a long time, and particularly in the Black arts community, so the BME artists, they've waded through loads of crap to get to where they are. And they're there now, they're stuck there. They've been working there for 15, 20 years. They're not going to move because they've now found their place. So when the young writers are coming up, it's really difficult for them to get their voice heard and do anything. But I think Young Writers Awards like that do help. To get you somewhere. Because otherwise, how are you going to walk into a room full of adults and kind of go, here you go, here's my poem that I wrote in it. Not all young people speak like that. Sorry, that's not right. Not what I meant at all. But do you know what I mean? Well, my question, I'm sorry to sideline a little bit, was do you feel like your voices aren't heard by the older BAME communities because you're younger? And how do you sort of negotiate that relationship, I guess? Because I like they're your mentors, they're your teachers, but at the same time it's like, move over now, it's my turn to shine.
I think you have to find, I know that there are some, and this question has come up before in workshops and things like that, where they're worried, they want to mentor, but they're also worried that their mentees will then take their work down the line, and what they do is they, from the goodness of their heart, they want to help them. I think if you're lucky, and there are really some really good people, there's so many of them, and they'll take you under their wing, and they genuinely do not feel that you're taking away from your success. It will not take away from theirs. So when I went on tour last year, and Jean Vinter-Breeze, MBE, she's incredible, and she asked me to come on tour with her, and that didn't take away from her.
Rather than older generation taking your voice.
Sorry.
So you said you want support?
Yeah, they can support, and they can, and so I went on tour with her, and I got the exposure. Obviously, she's got following, and I got some exposure, and she wanted to do that. So I think it's nice that they want to.
Sorry, I'm in a similar position to you. I've always had really strong mentors, really loads of support. I've never felt like I've not been heard, and when I've not been heard, maybe I shouldn't have been heard. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes you are young and you're learning, and you've not had enough experience to contend with someone who's had, and that's just how it is. Like, that's completely fine. And just in response to the woman in the blue coat, I work with contacts, and we're like, have young people at the centre of everything that you do. And I think as long as it's the way, because I don't know this now. Whoever it is that's supporting young people, you're an adult. So it's actually about your rhetoric and how you build your young people. And if you treat them as professionals and sell them to other people as professionals, then they won't be patronised. So I think it actually is in the hands of the adults that are supporting young people, because I've worked with other organisations that patronise me and have like pushed me into situations that I didn't want to be in, or it's very tokenistic, and that's their fault. It's not my fault. So I think with your question, it's about the risk that you take with young people, the level of responsibility that you give to them, and also giving them the expectation that if you want them to be treated as professionals, see the professional, then you have to treat them as professionals.
Yeah, and I think we do that in some of the work that the young people we work with producers. So we had one into a competition that had different age categories, and she won the overall competition. So of all the adults that were in it as well. And I think it's such high quality work that sometimes I want to shout about how brilliant it is in comparison with adults' work as well, and then sometimes I don't think there's always the space for that, because that's
maybe I wouldn't do it in terms of like in comparison, because sometimes that it runs the risk of being patronising.
Yeah, of course.
I think just for the quality that it is, just for what it is, But I do think age brackets are helpful because as a young person it is intimidating, and you do need to walk in your peers, and you need to have that sense of I'm young, I'm emerging, I'm looking for it.
I think also it is kind of good to separate young writers from writers. I think one of the good things I think is because widening access is a big thing right now. I think widening access, that's how I got into where I am now. I got to drama school because where I'm from in Glasgow, it's one of the bottom 20 deprived areas in Glasgow, and in my school I was one of a group told that I would get to university because of where I'm from, and I think widening access should be and is such a big thing. It should continue to be a big thing because it gives people a chance who don't think they'll get somewhere to get somewhere, and I think schemes that kind of bring together people from those areas, kids that don't have get up. Like I was told that I was sick and I would never get to university. I got to university and I found out I was actually dyslexic. And throughout my whole college life, when my essays were bad, I was like, I'm just thick, I'm just thick. But it's because they separated people who were young that had the opportunity and gave me the opportunity that I'm now sitting in what is the world's #6 best performing arts university. And I think that's why widening access for young people should continue to be a big thing, because there's little sparks of life there that we don't know about, but if you tap into it, and you separate it from the ones that are already there, they can get up there. And it just takes time, and it goes back to patience. And also from voices not being heard from Generation X. I'm a very controversial person. When I was student president at the college, I'm known as the person who told the principal that he doesn't deserve his wage. Because this is a man who gets paid, I'm just going to say it on camera, he gets paid more than the First Minister of Scotland, and he thought it was okay to give other people a wage increase. And I think if we don't say how we feel, then we can never move forward. We can never inspire other kids to be confident in what they believe in. Yes, there might be opinions that are differing from each other, but if you want to make change and you want to continue to build, that's what you do. So like in my degree, I don't make Shakespeare, I don't make, oh, she loves him, he loves her, oh, and they love each other. I make hard political theatre, social theatre. So I'm writing a show right now called Goodbye Colour, which happened from the Paris attacks when I got racism on a train, and an old man came from one end of the carriage, so like he was there and I was there, basically that's the side of the carriage, spitting at me, punching me, telling me to go back to where I came from and my people caused Paris, and I was like, what, Glaswegians caused Paris? What? And Goodbye Colour is a show to educate people on how I don't want to be Asian, I don't want to be the colour I am, and during the show I turned myself white through speaking a speech, but performers will turn me white. But then the flip side is, actually, I'm proud of who I am. And I think that's why I do stuff that makes my voice heard, but makes others think that, okay, these are new people, we need to listen to them. Because I feel when I was growing up in school, younger voices were not allowed to be spoken. It was like, you're young, don't speak. But now I think as you get older, you need to be like, but, because if you don't say but, then people just go with what could be wrong. So, just, yeah, God gave you a voice, use it, and just, even if it's not right, at least you're being heard. I think it is all about being heard today, that you need to just voice it. So yeah.
It's like that Matilda scene where he's like, I'm big, you're small, I'm right, you're wrong, something, there's nothing that you can do about it. It's like, no, we can. Do it.
I've been waiting to talk for a while. Like, firstly, I suppose, it's called track back 10 minutes, that's all I was thinking. Firstly, talk about social media. I think that's actually kind of sad. I think it shows a little bit about society. That's actually miserable, that the correlation. The longer young people spend on Facebook, the higher likely chance that they're going to suffer from depression, eating disorder, anxiety, and stuff like that. So that's one thing that's really, really sad, and that does affect the writing that comes out. And also, it shows that in real life they're not being taken seriously enough, and that's why they go to social media, and that also affects the writing. Another part is, there was a study about 6 years ago, 11,000 7-year-olds were tested, about half of them come with parents that were professionals, doctor, teacher, what have you, and the other half came from deprived homes. And at the age of 7 years old, the difference between literature level was already 8 months. That's actually stupid. Like, not actually fair at all. How are we getting away with that? Also, I think about getting young people's voices heard. It's not about us and them and him or her and X or Y. Why not just I really want to see a more stronger sense of togetherness. Like, I don't get why older people and younger people can't work together. Like, we can work beautifully together. Like, some of the best relationships between mother and daughter, father and son. It's amazing. Doing a show, Doing Identity, Me, Keisha Apart on the 22nd of October, and it's purely about standing on the shoulders of giants and how young people stand on their shoulders and not on their heads. Why is that so difficult for us to accept nowadays? Why do we have to banish a voice? Why can't we just work together? And as a young person, I don't want to speak over an older person. That's not how I operate. Maybe some young people do. For me, I'm not trying to speak with them, stand on the same platform as them, and I think that in itself is much more powerful than just one person taking a podium over the other.
So I've got two questions. We're going to yourself first, and then I'll come to yourself.
I was just wondering, from I guess your perspectives, if we're talking about the difference between the generations, what from your perspectives is actually new and interesting, and not just the same thing on a new platform? Like, there must be, like, obviously there's been Zoom, like Glam, but for people working in the arts of your generation, what do you find now that is new and interesting coming out from generation or millennials? Like, genuinely new.
I think it's the fire, and I'm talking from my perspective here from up north, but it's the fire that people have from nowadays and how young people are viewed through not social media but the media, and how young people do get like a negative perception of media, and it's the fire that people are now, as artists, are putting that into their work. I think that's the change that we've got. We've continued to grow that fire and not stay silent, and I think that's what makes us strength, is we are the ones that were grown up saying, right, don't talk back to your elders, don't talk back, but then as we've gotten older and the way we're perceived, I feel we do now kick a punch and we're making a voice heard. I think from my point of view, I think that's what is changing, that we're more vocal and what we want.
I think the most exciting things are happening on the fringe, right? So you have groups that have a very similar identity, and then you have people that do something quite different. And I can't pinpoint one thing, but I mean, if you, in terms of content, poetry, writing, it's an expression and an exploration of the human experience, right? So you have a love poem, and a love poem will be written again and again and again for eternity, as long as human beings exist. So it's not like there's new material, just different ways of saying the same thing, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because we're human beings. But I think exciting things are happening where people are finding just mixing different forms, or these things happen on the fringe. It's less mainstream. I think those things are exciting me. So some people are playing around with language, like experimenting with words and visuals and mixing different genres and art forms, and I think that's really exciting, because it's just finding different ways to talk about the same things that we talk about. That's not to say that other ways aren't as exciting, but for me at least.
Can I just chip in there? I'm Generation X, by the way, so social media is not my favorite space to be. But my daughter is very into it, and she's also very into literature. And so what she keeps telling me, pointing out, is the fact that for her, for a lover of literature, social media is brilliant because it's a way in which she can engage with the writers that she really, really loves, and see what they have to say, know exactly when new work is coming out, tweet about it, get excited about it, share information about it as well, engage in conversations about it. So from a writer's perspective, social media has completely changed the way the world looks at a writer. When I was growing up, for me a writer was a faceless person who just wrote brilliant books, and you didn't really care how old they were, whether they had children, pets, whatever. Nobody really cared. So I think that is definitely a shift, especially for people who work in the arts. The fact that they are forced to have this presence so that the world can actually engage with them, and that's definitely different from when there was no real social media. So,
I think I take that point further, the way social media is used, and it actually bridges the gap between older Generation X writers and Generation Y writers. Because I use Twitter quite a lot, and I see how younger generation interacts with the older generations on Twitter, and it gives them that confidence to talk to somebody which maybe in real life they wouldn't. So I think that is a really good.
Yes, and sorry to continue my point. My daughter as a child would follow writers on Facebook or wherever and try and find their websites and write to them. And through that, she's actually physically met writers and engaged in writing relationships, writing emails to writers and children's writers in the States, for example. So for me, it's been interesting to see that an actual relationship can come out of social media, because I'm so sort of like, no, you don't know this person. So yes, it has done that in a very strange, for me, but interesting way.
Social media though, right, there's one problem that will pitch up though, with social media. Generally, it's very good, but again, I'm going to be a little bit more critical. Just a little bit advocate, but social media in some instances, for young people, I mean, I'm 96, I'm a baby face, so I feel like I'm saying facts. But like for a lot of young people, it tells young people what's right and what's wrong to write. I don't think that's actually fair. Yeah, I think a lot of social media can dictate the way people actually write, whether it's actually themselves or whether it's performance or for the people what they're doing. So that's a great point. I think that's pointing out what I should say. I'm sure it's good. A lot of burdens that comes with that as well.
I just wanted to answer the question, sorry, because I have an answer in my head when you asked me. It was interesting actually, because I know we're here with writers in my panel and we're at the festival, but when you asked me that question, I thought of 3 singers. So, because for me, I just think of artists, just people that make work, just make art. And 3 people that have excited me most recently, I'd say is Lemn, Frank Ocean, and Corinne Bailey Ray. And I think they're all people who are pushing a story, pushing a dialogue, and they're opening their process to everyone. So with Solange, it's not just these songs. She's got there are like these beautiful interviews, and there's a video, and there's photography, and all this stuff that you can just digest, and you can meditate on phrases, and you can feel how long she's worked on it. And I think that's the stuff that I cherish in this time, because for me, even as a millennial, I feel like stuff goes too quickly, and I feel like people just want to churn and make things and put things out there, and sometimes use media in a very tokenistic way. But I feel like these kinds of artists are really documenting the time, and it feels very zeitgeist, like they're living in this time, but they're also managing to talk about it from within it and share it. So yeah, the reason why I said Corinne Bailey Ray is she's got an album that's the Heartbeats in history, I think, but she's also brought out these podcasts alongside it, which are like lectures, and it's just amazing. Like I was listening to it, she's talking about like astral projection and psychology and blah blah blah, and it was just beautiful that you could have this like aesthetic interaction, just listening to these beautiful songs, but then also have a really academic interaction with what she's doing. So that's the kind of art that interests me, and that's across the board now. That's like theatre, literature, whatever, where I can interact with it on a different amount of levels, different types of media. So I think that's quite a general response, but I just wait to answer your question.
That's not for your question.
So this kind of relates to a few things that have been said, but the main thing is actually what you just said about people being afraid to say something that social media doesn't agree with, and also the bland thing, and not that you necessarily believe that. But I think that the main issue that we have now, as opposed to censorship, is policing. I think, which can be a good thing, but I think, for me at least, I was really shocked when the Tories won the general election and when Brexit happened, because on social media it wasn't okay to express views that wasn't, I support the Tory party or I support Brexit. So those things came as a shock. I think that kind of reflects in talking in a spoken word setting. I think that kind of comes into the arena or the field of that, where when Brexit happened, the next slam we went to, there was 4 Brexit poems, and I think it does become quite, I was kind of just tired by the end of it, because even though I agree with what they were saying, it did just become bland, and I think that social media has a tendency to just be a bunch of people being like, yeah, at each other, And they're like, yeah, oh my god, I'm so good. And everyone's like, yeah, you are so good. And it's like, it doesn't actually have a dialogue. And the most interesting slam I've been to recently was there was a guy who got up on stage and did a piece that was basically just absolutely laying in to people who took selfies, or the young generation, and then Ella, who's at the back. She's gone.
She just left.
But she did a poem which was about how selfies are great and the selfie generation. And seeing that dialogue was so exciting because it wasn't just people shouting yes at each other, and there was an actual debate happening. So I think that with Generation, wait, where are we? We're Y. Generation Y, there is an aspect of debate, but generally, yeah, I do agree that it is just a bunch of people shouting yes at each other, which gets very repetitive and then kind of gives a kind of ignorance to ourselves of what you don't agree with me, and it's like people cut themselves off from people you don't agree with, where that isn't necessarily what you should be doing. But I was interested in what you guys think about that.
No, I completely agree. I've got friends who've like deleted people because they commented on them. Oh my goodness, this person commented on my status saying this. It's like, well, you wrote a status.
Yeah.
You commented
What
on
to
it.
expect.
And I actively do not delete people that I disagree with. I like to see stuff on my page that I don't agree with. You need to see what
Because
people
that's how
think.
the dialogue gets created.
Yeah.
That's how you start conversations.
Yeah, exactly. But I do agree. I think we're at a point where people get offended and think that something needs to happen because of that. Instead of just thinking, oh, I'm offended, why am I offended? Should I be offended? Let's have a conversation. Does that person really think that? Or, like, could that person possibly change my mind? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I find that quite exciting. Yeah, there's a lot of fear. I just feel like there's a lot of fear on social media, and exactly what you just said
It's
about
not
people
having
liking
tolerance,
posts.
just having tolerance for other people's
Yeah.
opinions. It's healthy and it's important in today's society. And if you can't handle someone's alternate view, then you've got problems.
But I think it ties into that thing that I said right at the beginning, that with our generation, we almost write knowing that someone's going to read it. And what happens to your thoughts when you know that someone's going to read it? Is that really what you think? Or have you already censored yourself before you've even shared it? And that's what worries me about our generation. I remember having a conversation with my friend Rebecca, she's not now, when Facebook really started kicking off, probably about like 8 years ago for me. And I was like, Beth, I don't know what to do. My thoughts are changing. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I feel like I'm monitoring my thoughts, like thought by thought. I'm like, oh, that was a good thought. She's like, oh, that should be a status. I'll just put that as a status. Did it? Oh, it got likes. Okay, that's cool. Oh no, that wouldn't get any likes. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I wonder why it didn't get any likes. And then I'm like, what? And then I'm like, where are my actual thoughts going now? Because I'm just focusing on this thought that happened 2 hours ago. And it's just like, let it go. Let that go. And I think it's that of like monitoring every little thought that you have and thinking that it's so valid and valuable that it must be shared, instead of writing it down. And that's what I'm going back to doing now, which is what I've always done as a writer, which is just write my thoughts down, and they come into place in such a beautiful way, like months later, and make sense to me and create a story. But if I was to push it out as a bunch of tweets, it probably wouldn't have done that. So yeah.
The thing with like social media is we are having shorter and shorter attention spans, like that's what it is. And writing is about labouring over maybe even a sentence, a line, a perfect line to get exactly what you're trying to say down, right? And so you're writing things down, and that's when you're finding that it's the truest way of saying what you want to say. And then versus putting things out on social media, you don't really have the attention span. Putting things out quick and in a way that you know will be responded to in the way that you want it to be responded to, and not necessarily the way you wanted to say it.
So people that say something and want a response to it, I think that comes from a strong line of segregation of class, cultural isolation, economics, the family they come from, and I think that's a problem that comes from much before social media. Comes from just where they're born, like almost like you're born in an area you think that's way. Like I was born in like I said before. Well, alongside for me, alongside was like so normal. And like when I left alongside, it's so not normal. So that's where it comes from. I think Facebook's something where you almost in social media where you kind of, as you said before, people kind of cover themselves, like class themselves in a little group, a little community, and cut themselves off the rest of the world. That's what they've been trained to do from such a young age before they even had a phone.
So we've got 5 hands up. So I'm going to, I've done my wee order, so we're going to go 2 steps to the back. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Somebody, you asked the question to the panel a bit earlier about how much you feel that you could influence, support Generation Z. And how much, as writers, I know you focus on your own work and you might do it through your own work, but do you feel that you have an appetite or even responsibility to work with younger writers?
Yeah.
You talk about mentors who are so amazing for you, and in a lot of work I do, it's about writers working with communities. Just interested in your appetite for doing that and what experience you have doing that.
Yeah, for me that's like one of the most important things ever. You have to pass the baton on to the next generation. Like for me, my experience with my teachers is phenomenal. I'm part of a poetry group for Young Identity, and like they're my family. They're all my teachers and my family. It's simple. I got so close to my head teacher, I got to a point where I almost like asked them to adopt me in year 10. Like that's how much I know my teachers, and I would do everything in the world. Again, it's subjective. For me personally, it's my dream just to give it on to somebody else, teaching what I know, help them. That's me, but like, that's down to my personal experience. I love nothing more than just watching people just teach the young generation what can grow, standing on the shoulders of giants, like I said before. It's so amazing. Nobody does it enough. I think that's a really good idea. I think people should do that more often. It's something I definitely want to do. I really want to become a teacher in that sort of sense, where it's a teacher as a father, a teacher as a teacher. But I think we need to have a responsibility and try and do it more often. And I think, as a writer, I think there's definitely a responsibility on passing on what we have and what we have to offer to the next generation.
Like for me, I think it is important because I'm a performance writer and my degree is quite around social political ideas. So there's a lot of people that come in to my degree and they all have so many ideas, but it's always the ones that are like years ahead that kind of bring them down and bring them in. I think that's what you need to do, because like in the area I'm in, people come in with so many big ideas, but it's up to the ones that are older to kind of make you feel more calmer. And if it wasn't for the older ones when I was in first year, I would have been all over the place. I would have been like doing this, doing that, doing this. Whereas the older ones helped you rein it in and be like, no, come in, that's what you do. So yeah, and I actually really do think it's good to kind of inspire and be there for them, and because everybody needs a support network when they come into something new, and at the end of the day, if they're coming to something that you've already done, then you are the best person who has the experience along with others that can share that. And that's what's been really good about being in second year, is the first year to now feel more comfortable coming up and talking to us now, because we've been in their shoes like 12 months ago.
Yeah, I think I'll just chorus what everyone else has said. It's important. I've had it, so I still do it now. I work at a contact bit, like I said, so I'm always around other people, always asking them what they're doing, always getting them to push themselves. And before that, I was trained as a teacher, and one thing that frustrated me most of the time when I was in the system was the lack of agency, the lack of giving young people a sense of, you should be asking me questions, you should be asking me why you should be learning this, you should be going home and figuring out why this is relevant to you in your world, and coming back to me and challenging me and making me re-explain it in a different way that makes sense to you. So I'm always telling young people that, and as an artist, I don't like to be mitigated in terms of, oh, I need to make sure I do this or make sure I do that, but in terms of, I don't want to police the next generation, I think that's ludicrous, but in terms of just making sure that we still have a dialogue, I think I just want to make sure that my work is out there to be accessed, so it will be in print and it will be digital as well. I think it's important to have real tangible things, but also it's good to acknowledge that the world is becoming more digital and online and whatever. So like, I've got an EP with my poetry. I was like, I'm not going to do a self-publishing, I'm going to record it and do some music and do that. And I've had some really good responses and I really enjoyed it as well. So, and you can learn from looking at what young people are doing and trying to incorporate into what you're doing. So yeah, I think it's only part of my practice, but I agree that it should happen.
Mentor right there.
What they said.
I was just thinking about the whole Generation X and Y thing, in terms of a lot of my friends and then they were like obviously writing lots of literature movements and big things. I was thinking, because of the internet, it's like this grand equalizer, so it feels like Generation Y has no sort of thrust in terms of movements, just because there's the sheer volume of people. And I was wondering if you thought that was a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a bad thing, but I don't think I have any right to say if it's good or bad. I think it's just inevitable. Yeah. Sorry.
I think it's, can I answer that? I think it's good that we don't need a movement, that we don't need in the same way that the last generation of writers, for example, with black writers, they had to do a lot of fighting to get, so I don't know if you know, but with children's writing, it was like unheard of to have the image of a black boy on the cover. So there was a lot of writers that fought against that. There was a movement behind that that sort of changed it. And now, you can now have black kids on the cover of young adult fiction, to an extent. But, the idea is that you've now moved away. We don't need that movement anymore. So I think it's good in that sense. But I understand what you're saying about it not being, that we've lost that radical edge. And I think it goes back to almost what you were saying about us being a bit bland. And
yeah, that's what I wanted to say as well, that like we can't, that age had a lot of tension to fight against. They had neoliberalism and all this stuff, and like they had the Vietnam War and all that stuff to fight against, and that's really exciting that they have that to push them to create amazing work. But we don't have that, and we shouldn't try to create it. And there are battles out there to fight against if we want to. You just have to look for them. So like climate change, for example, you're writing a shit.
Does it need to be like a protest? Like I'm saying, like there were art movements and stuff.
Yeah, there's still art, and if you don't see one, make one. Because that's what people did back then.
So you can be the change, basically. If you don't see it, then you do it. And that's something that I found in Scotland has worked a lot for young BAME artists, is the work's not there, so they're just getting up and doing it. And that's how I've met so many other young people, it's just because they felt people aren't doing it, so we'll do it. And also find people that have the same interests as you, or understand where you're coming from, and collaboration is something that a lot of people kind of put a blind eye on because that is their vision, but your vision might be someone else's vision, and it could be a shared vision, and everybody has different techniques, different ideas, and I think a shared vision is better than a single vision. So share your ideas with people that have the same views as you, and then that can be your movement, and that can be the change that you want in Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, whatever, or the world. Go for the world, it's always better. Just for yourself, son.
I mean, it's really interesting. I've heard lots of things about we're rebelling and we're doing new art, but I mean, it's always been a thing of youth, which is why people are interested in the 60s and the 70s. You've got the punks, you've got your hippies. I mean, there's always some names for them. I mean, there's hoodies. It just carries on. But what I'm really interested in is in how perhaps to hear a bit more. I mean, there was something about people having opposing opinions on your Facebook post and not blocking those people, and I think that's interesting. I mean, how social media and these new things that are of the millennial generation provide inspiration for you as writers, inspiration or insight or an explosion of perspectives, the fact that you kind of have a window into the world in the way that perhaps somebody born in the 70s or the 80s didn't. How is that affecting the writing? I mean, I think for me that's really much more interesting than somebody suggesting to me that they're the first people to protest about something.
I would say, so when you read something, you either are inspired by it and say, hey, I want to write like that, or you see what's wrong with it and you say, I'm going to write that better. And that's been such an inspiration for me, if you can say. And so we have so much more exposure to so many. I'd say there was a love poem prior to now. The previous generation, they might not be as aware of other love poems around. Yes, those in print, but not necessarily as many as around now, because they're everywhere. And I could just Google love poems and I could have thousands and thousands of them. And then I can read them and say, okay, well, I think I could write this better, or I really like this about it, and I think that's inspiration. And it has really helped me to write, because reading does make you a better writer, and you hear it loads and loads, but it really does.
Just to add a little bit onto what you just said, I like to use social media to see spoke to one of my friends who I know has a completely different circle of friends to me, different family, and I asked if I could look at his Facebook page because I just wanted to see what a different group of people were saying, and it was really interesting. It was just helpful to know what, because I look on my own Facebook page and I'm saying what I think is fine.
Yeah, that's really interesting
But it's nice to use it as a tool.
Because you are in terms of the algorithms and things, you'll see people that are like-minded commenting. So I've got like all creatives on my Facebook, right? So when these things happen, they're all people that have got the same views as me. And then that's really interesting that you're saying, because I don't even see those posts.
Or you can just stop liking stuff.
Yeah,
if you just stop liking stuff for a little bit, messes with the algorithm, get some random shopping page. Just play around, just play around with it. That's what I'm saying. That's the way to use it as a tool.
So I was going to ask, I think for me, one of the things about being sort of technology and time marketing on is like improved access. So the fact that we've got all these tools now, even just on a phone, that most people, I would say, have a smartphone now that you can film, you can record, you know, like this Tangerine, which is a beautiful feature film shot entirely on an iPhone. And I know, of course, class and education is still massive issues, but it navigates some of that people can maybe teach themselves things, all that kind of stuff. Do you, as artists and writers, does that push you to maybe try different things in your own practice, that having access to those forms, and you know, you mentioned UK and things like that, do you feel that that has widened the possibilities, or is it almost a diversion? I've got a friend who's a writer and she's very techno savvy and very marketing savvy, and she's got a newsletter and she does a podcast, and I'm like, look, when do you do the work as well as all of that? And you know, it's brilliant content and really engaging, but is that the work, or is that something you do to market the work, and do you feel that creates pressure for your business?
Yeah, I was going to say, it can create pressure, and I think you just have to work with what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have a blog, don't have one. I tried to start one, didn't like it. Only got 3 posts on there. So it's like, well, it's not for me. Tried to do it, and like, didn't like it. So I think, yeah, you've got opportunities, and you should just use them so that it works for you, and not let it be pressure, or not let it be complacent. I think sometimes with your artwork and with putting on your social media, as we've just said, you've got all your friends there. It's like doing a show and inviting all your friends to come and see it, and they'll give you a big cheer at the end. And you've not engaged with anyone, you've not taught anyone anything new. So I'd just be wary of that. But I think, yeah, it's in the long run, it's positive.
I feel also like having iPhones that you take videos on actually has helped me in a way, in a positive way. So this year I did a show, excuse the language, but it was called I Don't Give a Fuck. And the whole show was based on how we care about the things that we shouldn't really care about, or we forget about the things that we should care about. And it was TV, film, videos, all that helped bring it alive. It was very visual. I got kicked out of a shopping centre because you're not allowed to film in a shopping centre. And I feel those things, I think, will only grow, will only get bigger. Like these tablets will maybe turn into like handheld 3D TVs that we can like go about and play with. And I think it was, especially from us, because we're still a small industry up north, it's widening what we can do with it. But I think looking at where we're going in the next 15, 20, 30 years, things will just grow and grow, and they'll become more immersive. And I think that's what makes my work really interesting when it comes to like technology and collaboration, is makes it immersive. It's the type of work that I like to create. But still, I don't agree with like liking a page on Facebook. I'd rather have it physical and being there as an artist. It's more about me being there, and that's how I got audiences, because I would just go around to people and be like, you can eat tonight, you can eat tomorrow, you're doing this, and people would just come on. I think word of mouth when it comes to being artists is the strongest thing for us. Like you might have all these things behind you, but if you don't use your voice, then you're not going to get what you want to a max.
Yeah, and there's definitely a difference between somebody Facebook liking or even loving you. Bloody hell. Like there is when someone actually smiles at you. Like it's just like when someone smiles at you, it's like you're absolutely a champion. And then when somebody smiles at you, you've done things for art, even better. And then when they look at you as well, it's like, oh, that's amazing. And then like that's what you do it for, really. You don't really do it for social media. I think social media is quite two-dimensional in that sense. Like I want it physical, you know, not too physical. You're gonna hug me, don't hug me to death. Like enjoy it.
And what you were saying about doing things if they work for you.
Yeah.
I think the pressure when you're on, I've got so many creators on my feed and I see what they're all doing all the time, and sometimes I'm like, well, why aren't I doing and you end up comparing yourself to the people on your feed, and it can make you feel awful sometimes. Like they're doing so much more than me, or and I think in that sense, social media can impact on your self-esteem, and you've just got to be really strong.
But you find that quite inspiring and
Sometimes it's inspiring. It depends what kind of frame of mind you're in. But the other thing, the flip side I was going to say was, like for example, it can open up your world, social media. So, I was doing poetry, I do Indian classical singing, and someone was just put some stuff on the loop station on Facebook, and I was like, well, why don't we combine that? And then so we set up that, we just like, let's jam. And so we jammed, and we put down some beats, some beatbox, and some Indian classical, and some poetry, and it was magic. And so that was, it just can open up the world, and there's so many possibilities that it enables.
So we only have 4 minutes left, and I'm going to finish.
One question, quickly.
Oh yeah, one question.
And a question, sorry. Going back to what Shruti was saying about reading, making you better writers, there's a perception that the media tends to feed us is that young people don't read. Therefore, does that make young writers not good writers because they don't read? Just sticking it out there.
I would say yes. I would say it's a bit controversial, I know.
Do you agree with the statement that young writers don't read? Or that young people don't read?
I think young people just don't read the same things necessarily. That's why
there's different modes of reading now, because now you can read a story in 160 like a tweet.
Yeah.
That's the time you didn't move 140. I disagree with it because there are just so many modes of reading.
You could argue that they're reading more now. I mean, if you think about the amount of information they're taking in all the time, reading a physical book is different to consuming all of that information, but it's still a type of reading, a consumption of information or ideas. And why shouldn't this generation who have this influx of knowledge, why shouldn't they be better writers? Because they have all of this information at their fingertips and the world at their fingertips.
Also, less is more.
I agree and disagree. So there's one thing in my head that's like, no, and one thing that's like, yes. So one thing that's making me say, yeah, young people don't read enough, is I remember reading a statistic now, I can't remember, it was really annoying, but I think it was something like 1 in 5 children don't own their own book in a house. So I think culturally, we still need to encourage young people to read, and I think that thing of sitting down with a child and reading with them and getting them to engage with language, whether it's a book or whether it's a song, because I used to have my little audio book, singing along to me little books or whatever, as long as you play with language, I think that culture needs to be actively maintained, and sometimes it isn't. But I think also we don't need to be so stringent about what types of media young people are engaging with, because when I was a teenager, I was really shocked when I started, because I went to a girls' school, when I started to interact with some of my male peers, they would have really good vocabulary, better than mine sometimes, and I would be reading loads of books, and I was like, do you read? And they were like, no, play loads of video games. And then when I was looking at the video games that they were playing, the language was really sophisticated, and that was frustrating because, as a side note, I'm a feminist and I'm interested in gender and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, the kind of media that we get fed as girls and the language that's in those games with girls is so bland and boring, and the language that's in the video games for boys is so interesting and sophisticated, and I was realising that the boys I was interacting with were regurgitating the language from those games, so I was like, you don't need to read, you could just play these amazing games and improve your vocabulary that way. So just as long as you're playing with storytelling and language in some form, then you'll be a good writer.
Yeah, last minute, basically, our generation's going to make mistakes. We're not going to do the right thing, we're not going to do the right books, we're going to come with a lot of bad stuff in the way. But crime with a quote, I always remember using it all the time, George Hegel, the philosopher. The only thing we learn from history is that we don't learn from history. Generation A, B, C, D will make the same mistakes over and over again. They're reading wrong shit somehow. And but at the same time, just not reading books, I think it's kind of a sign of almost like we are trying to dumbify people. Education, economics, class coming again. Again, this is the Marxist coming out again. But a lot of people are deprived of education. Young people are deprived of education, and something needs to change. Equality needs to come. At the moment, there's no equality in the society. You have people who are making bigger writers, and they're all rich, middle class people. I work with Dan Walker, right? Do you know who Dan Walker is? He's like the guy who eats breakfast. He does much a day when Gary Lineker. He does much a day when Gary Lineker is buying pants. So he's alright guy. But basically, he said to me now he's fed up of seeing Jen be all white, middle class. And I think we need to find a way of forming that equality, so that it doesn't matter what you read and everybody's got that sort of equal access. Not just equal access, but equal right to say what they want. And eventually it will get better. Like 30 years ago in America, African American children graduating from high school was 27%. It's now 56%. That's still very low, but it's going to get better. It just takes time. But again, I think for us to get writing right in young people and in this generation, and for it to live to the standards we want it to, we have to look at equality. We have to look at how do we give the 20th worst area in Glasgow an opportunity, you know, and everybody else. How do we sort alongside out? You know, we need to look at equality so much more than we do. At the moment, we're trying to fight for the best, fight for the best, fight for the best. I'm not saying slow down, you know, stop being so good, you do. But at the same time, at the bottom, let's help them raise the bar a bit. Let's help them. Equality is important. And like I say, we're going to keep making mistakes. The only thing we learn from history is that we don't learn from history. But we've tried to.
So